Okay, today's daf is Mem Gimel, and we're going to start on Mem Beis, Amid Beis. So we saw the Shita of Shmuel who said that a shutif could go ahead and be machzik on each other. In other words, that a shutif yesh le chazaka. We also saw that a shutif could be made on the other person. It could be made on the other person, and we also saw that a shayel that a shutif has a din of a shaymesacha. So what's this din of Me'idim ze al ze? What is this din of Me'idim ze al ze? That's under discussion. So it says the Gemara, Me'idim ze al ze amid aleph, amai, why could they be made? Nageya be'idusanhu. It's Nageya be'edis. This is the big sugya of Nageya be'edis, guys. Take a look at the Rashbam. The cholzman shlechelku legamri, as long as they haven't divided up the estate completely, imitel shum ma'are klum min asadeh. If anyone comes and complains and says that the field was his and not theirs, right? You have sidu shneim. They're both going to take a loss. The nimsa de la alma meyid, and we'll say that he's testifying on himself. Lenny's here. You're good. Anyway, so the Frag the Gemara, here's the case. You have two people, Reuven and Shimon. Shimon is going to testify. Amara comes and says the field belongs to him. Reuven's believed to say that the field belongs to Shimon. 1 second. Doesn't Reuven have a piece of the field? So he's Nageya Be'edis. By him testifying on Reuven, he's Nageya Be'edis, guys, right? By him going in and testifying, it's Nageya Be'edis. So how does that work? Again, Shmuel said the din that a shutif can go ahead and testify on his other shutif. What's he testifying on? That if a person comes, again, we're dealing in Perik Peskas Abatim. If a person comes and makes a claim on the field saying the field is his, he's able to say, no, the field is my shutif. But 1 second, by saying the field is my shutif, isn't he saying the field is his because he would lose as well? So he's Nageya Be'edis, a person who has a subjectivity. A person who has a subjectivity is not believed. So it's the Gemara, mine Nageya Be'edis. So we mamish at the top, Lenny, you didn't miss anything. Mem Gimel Amid Aleph says the Gemara, Hacha b'mayaskina. What are we dealing with over here? The kasav lei dinu devarim ainli al sadazu. He writes to the shutif. Reuven writes to Shimon, I don't have anything to do with this field. In other words, I did, but I have nothing to do with the field. Good. Now, if he does write that, does it really help? Tanya, we learned in a brisa, if someone says to his friend, I don't have anything to do with this field, I have no asik, any doings with this field, the yodi mesulekas himenu, and my hand is removed from this field. Loy amaklum. He hasn't said anything. Now, if this was a field of hefker, fellas, a field of hefker. In other words, I had no bias on this field. Then a person wants to give it to me as a matana. I could say, I don't want to be the receiver. I don't want anything to do with it. In other words, you want to give it to me, or you want a hefker to, right? I should be kinda. You have the capability of saying, I have nothing to do with this field. But once you have possession of the field, unless there's someone receiving, then what? You didn't use a lashon hefker. You didn't say you were mafker the field. You said, you know what? You, Shimon, and I have a shutfis, a partnership in this field. I have nothing to do with it. That doesn't work. Why? Because he hasn't given it to anybody. In other words, he was on it already. Good. He's not telling Shimon, I'm giving you the field. He goes, I have nothing to do with this. So if he would say, so therefore the Gemara's Havamina is the following: since he has nothing to do with this field, he could testify on behalf of Shimon. If a Ma'arer comes along and says the field doesn't belong to them, he would be able to go ahead and testify as such. He'd be able to testify as such that it does. That's what the Gemara is saying right now. Good? Okay. So Rabbi Abba is going to come on and we're going to repeat it. Listen, I appreciate everyone who comes on, right? So even though okay, Rabbi Avi, hurry up, connect quickly. Avi was collecting the audio, but it's not happening that quickly. How's the wife and kids, everybody? Wonderful. Filling in a little. Okay, Rabbi Avi, I'm sorry. Anyway, so we go ahead. It says, in other words, fellas, you understand? If you have nothing to do with the field, it's not in your possession. You could say, I don't want anything to do with it. But once it's in your possession, it's not enough to say what. So in other words, the mechanics of the Gemara is what we're trying to do is to remove the Negeya Be'edis is you have nothing to gain because you have no part of the field. That's the mechanics. However, the mechanism of doing that is not working because you saying that you have nothing to do with a field that you own doesn't work. You have nothing to do with the field that doesn't work. Mem Gimel Amid Aleph. We're asking, how could one shutif be testifying on behalf of another shutif? Isn't it Nagea Be'edus? So in that we're saying, he says, I don't have anything to do with the field. Says the Gemara, 3 lines down, Mem Gimel Amid Aleph. If he would say, I have nothing to do with this field, my hava, vatan, Atanya Brisa, a person says to his friend, didn't dvarim ainli asadasu, ainli esikva, the other menu, loyim he didn't say anything. So therefore, you still nageya be'edis. Again, the mechanism of removing the shutfis isn't a good mechanism. Guys, you with me? Again, same question. Nageya be'edis, right? How could he testify? Shmuel's memory yesterday that one shutif can testify on behalf of another shutif. The mechanism for doing it we don't have, so it's nageya be'edis. Says the Gemara, no, you do have a mechanism. What's the mechanism? Says the Gemara, what are we dealing with over here? He made a kinyan. He made a kinyan. Not only did he state it, he made a kinyan chalipin that this field does not belong to him anymore. It belongs to Shimon. So he made a kinyan chalipin that the field doesn't belong to him anymore. It's a kinyan. So al-khar, what's the chiddush then? He's not a shutuf anymore. Okay, maybe we'll answer that soon, fellas. Right? What's the chiddush? If he's removing himself from the field, like so what? So he's not a shutuf anymore. So why can't he be made? Yes. So again, so right now he said I don't want anything to do with the field. He made a kinyan that placed the Shimon's part in the chelik of Ruvain. Comes along the Ma'ara and says the field doesn't belong to Ruvain. Says Shimon, I can bring raya that it does, and I will be believed. My testimony will be accepted. That's what we're holding right now. Yes, Harold.
But he was a shutuf, so how could, in other words, he did have an interest in it at one time, so how could he testify?
Right now, what's the kasha? Nagea Beidus means it behooves him to have the field kept by Ruvain, correct? Why would he care if he doesn't have a piece of the action?
But he did, so he had time.
Again, Nagea Beidus means you're going to be mafsid. If you look at the Rashbam, 2 lines from the top. Im yitel shuma ara klum min asada, yafsidu shnehem. They're both going to take a loss. V'nimtza de la'atzmai meyed. He's being made for himself. But Hesh, once he gives it up, Hesh, he's not being made for himself. Call him whatever you want. Yes, he was a shutif. So what? Is he a shutif now?
No.
Is he gaining anything now?
No.
Therefore, he's not a Ge'ebedis. Again, that's what we want to do. We want to remove that Nikias. Okay? My question, therefore, is, so if he's not a shutif anymore, so what are you telling me a shutif can be made on the other one, yeah? He's not a shutif. So guys, right now we're good. In other words, that member of Shmuel, that a shutif could be made, we have the mechanism to remove the Negeya Be'edis. What was the mechanism? 1, he said, I have nothing to do with the field. 2, he made a kinyan and he gave it to him. 2, he made a kinyan and he gave it to him. Okay, says the Gemara, 1 second, he still has Negeya Be'edis. He still has Negeya Be'edis. Says the Gemara, V'chikonu miyadai mai have, hare midai bifnei bal chayvai. He's going ahead and putting it what? In his front of his bal chayv. In other words, guys, listen outside. It's a difficult Gemara. Shimon had a previous chayv. He owed money to somebody. His sadeh was mishubit to go ahead and pay off this loan. There was a lien on this property. Comes along a ma'arer and says the property doesn't belong to him. He went ahead, he gave it to Ruvain through Kinyan, and now it's Ruvain's. Good. If the field was in the hand of the complainer and the Balchayv would come along to Shimon, Shimon looks like a Russia. The pasuk says, "Loiva Russia, Loiva Russia, v'lo yishalem." He looks like a Russia now. Why? The guy lent him money on this field. Turns out the field wasn't his; it was the Ma'aris all along. So this guy looks like he duped you. He said, "You're giving me money. You're securing the loan with the field." And turns out, guess what? The field is what? Not his. It's right the Ma'arer. So even though right now with his testimony, he doesn't gain anything personally for himself, because what? He doesn't have a chelik in the field anymore. He does gain something. You know what he gains? That when the chayiv comes to collect his chayiv, it's there. It's there by Ruvain. And it still was his field, and the lien is on his field. If it was never his field, then there was no lien on the field, and the Balchov goes away disgruntled, angry, calling him a Rasha. So what are you telling me he's not Noigeya Be'edis? He is Noigeya Be'edis. He does have something to gain by keeping the field by Ruvain. What does he have to gain? That his Balchov can come along and collect the Chayiv and not call him a Rasha. Okay, let's start. Let's one more time. Let's go through it. It's a little complicated. Listen up, Pinchas Eliyahu. We said yesterday that a partner could go ahead and testify for another partner. Why can he testify? That the field that's under question really belongs to the partner. The Gemara is asking, he's Nageya Be'edis. How can you trust this guy? Right? He's Nageya Be'edis. He has what to gain, right? He has what to gain. Says the Gemara, he has nothing to gain because he gave up all rights. Fred, the Gemara, giving up all rights doesn't work. Unless, right, because you owned it. Says the Gemara, he made a kinyan. He went ahead and he was makna to him what? He was makna the field to him. He was makna the field to him, therefore it belongs to him. So therefore, when he testifies to keep it in the reshus of Ruvain, he's not gaining anything. It's not Nageya Be'edis. Fred the Gemara, Alom de Shakasha. What are you talking about? He's not Nageya Be'edis. He would gain by the fact if he had a Baal Chayv, if he had a Chayv on him, meaning if Ruvain had a Baal Chayv that he owed money to, and the lien was on this field, Shimon had a Baal Chayv, and the lien was on this field, Shimon gives over the field to Ruvain. As long as it's considered once upon a time his field, therefore the Baal Chayv can collect from it. If the Baal Chayv collects from it, then he's not called a loiva Russia. If, however, the field was never his, the field belonged to the previous person who's making a claim now that it wasn't his, then, in fact, he's a Russia because he borrowed money and he didn't have the field to go ahead and secure the loan. So by saying that it's Ruvain's field, he is gaining, that the Baal Chayv can come and take it. So he's still like Geya Be'edis, as I read the Gemara. So again, even if you don't connect the dots of every single prat, the basic question is, going back to the top of the page, how can this shutef go ahead and testify for the other shutef? After all, he is not a Geya Be'edis. That's it. That's the kasha we're holding by. Okay. Says the Gemara, where do you see that? The Amar Ravin, about 9 lines down, the Amar Ravin, by Shmuel, Mishmei de Shmuel, if someone sells a field to his friend without achrayis, meaning he doesn't have to, he can't go ahead and be made. You know why? I sold this field shloi b'achrayis, meaning if the field is a question on this field who it belongs to, and it's taken away from by somebody else, then this guy has no recourse to collect, all right? And he's going to call me a Russia. So therefore, I can't testify, the Moicha can't testify that the field belongs to A, right? Because then he would be able to collect. So therefore, you see that idea, the Gemara is just supporting the idea that testimony to keep the field in order for a Baal Chayv to collect is considered Nageya Be'edis. And for the Gemara, Hachamayaskinon to Kibul Achrayas. What are we dealing with over here? That he was Mikabel Achrayas. What does that mean? He told Shimon Shimon, if this field is taken away from you, I'm going to make it up. If this field is taken away from you, I'm going to go ahead what and I'm going to make it up. So therefore, he gains zero. He gains zero. What was the gain, fellas? I'll be made that what that the field is Ruvain's, and if the field is Ruvain's, my Baal Chov can come collect it. So therefore, I'm Nagea Be'edis. I have something to gain. And for the Gemara, you know what I did? I gave one Baal Chayv, and I was achraya to another Baal Chayv. What is that? I told Ruvain, if this field is taken away from you, I will go ahead what and make it up to you. So therefore, Shimon's edus is not negei whatsoever. He doesn't gain anything. Mimanav shach. If the field is taken away by Shimon, by Shimon's, Ruvain's field is taken away, he's going to make it up to Ruvain. Shimon's going to make it up to Ruvain. So therefore, there's no negei be'edus. The kasha was he gains. The field remains by Ruvain, so the Baal Chov can come collect. He doesn't gain because even if it's taken away, he's going to make it up to Shimon. Even if it's taken away, it's going to make it up to Shimon. Now the Gemara wants to know the following: Achrayis the man, inema achrayis the alma, that the field was never his. Kol shekain the nichalei. Think about it, fellas. If the field was what was never his, then it's behooves him for the shutif to go ahead what and say that it is. He's very negated. In other words, if the achrayas is to make up for the ma'arer who's coming to take away the field, in that case, for sure, he's negei be'edus. Now you know the answer to this already, guys. It's a personal chayv. In other words, there's two questions over here. The question is the field his? Or the question is, the field was his and he owes someone money. If you're telling me that he's testifying that the field was his, because somebody's coming else and saying the field's not his, there's no Nageya Be'edis Gedai Mizu. That's tremendous Nageya Be'edis, right? I Shimon have to make sure it's by Ruvain, because if it's from Shmerel who's going ahead and saying it was never his, right? That's certainly Nageya Be'edis. Ella, why is it not Nageya Be'edis over here? Because the achrayas over here, he made up and said, I have a personal chayv over here. This personal chayv, I want the field to be here to pay off this personal chayv. Ruvain, you're going to lose the field. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of that. And thus, it's not what? Thus, it's not nageh be'edus. So in conclusion, the case of this apparently little cryptic statement that we took for granted that Shmuel said that one shuttif can testify in other shuttif is a hard lumdish case with three components. One, I have nothing to do with the field. Two, you make a kinyan to put it in the other person's rishus. And three, it must be that there's a Baal Chayv that can take this. And he would made achrayas that if the Baal Chayv takes it, he's going to make it up to Ruvain. Then it's not Nageh Be'edus, because he gains nothing with the testimony, because at the end of the day, he has nothing. At the end of the day, he has nothing. One more time, I'll say it one more time. Shmuel's statement that a shutuf can go ahead and testify on behalf of another shutuf to retain ownership of a property under question whether it's their property at all. Says the Gemara, he's nageh be'edus. He's taking a loss if the property is taken away. Says the Gemara, he says he's not nageh be'edus. He has nothing to do with the property. So therefore, says the Gemara, even if he said he has nothing to do with the property, it doesn't work. Says the Gemara, he made a kinyan, so he gave it all over to what? To Ruvain, his partner. Says the Gemara, he still has what to gain, to keep it by Ruvain. Because since he had a previous Baal Choiv on himself, he wants the field to be there so they don't call him a Russia if he defaults on the loan. Says the Gemara, you're right. He has nothing to gain because it's speaking that he told Ruvain, if someone comes along and takes this field away, right, I will go ahead and make it up to you. Thus, he really has nothing to gain because either way, he's going to either pay This pay Paul or pay Peter. It doesn't make a difference. He's paying both. And that's the case over here. Okay, that's the case over here of what? Of the shutuf going ahead, what? And testifying. Okay, just a little Lashon. Where's the Achrayas? Achrayas the man. Inim Achrayas the Alma. You're telling me that someone's coming, go ahead to take away the field. That for sure he goes ahead, what? And he has what? He's Nagea Beidis. Because again, if he takes away the field, then he's certainly going to be in trouble because he has a Balchoiv saying there's nothing there. Ela Kolshke, Elawat, it must be Ela Achrayas to Islam Achmasei. It's Achrayas that comes as a result of his personal loan. Now, Fred the Gemara, V'chimasalik Nafshi Minei, Mi Mistalik. If he goes ahead and is Mistalik, you're telling me he's not Nagea Be'edis? You're telling me if he's Mistalik, if he leaves, you're telling me he's not Nagea Be'edis? Vatanya following Brisa. The Gemara gets a little easier. Vatanya following Brisa. B'nei Ir Shenignav Sefer Torah Shelahed. B'nei Ir, that a Sefer Torah of theirs was stolen. A B'nei Ir, that the Sefer, it was stolen. Ein donin b'dinei b'dayonei oisayir. They're nogeya be'edis. They can't judge the case. They're nogeya be'edis. They're unable to judge the case. They're nogeya be'edis. They're unable to go ahead and judge the case. Why? Because obviously they want to Sefer Torah back. And the people from the city also can bring a riot that the person stole because all of them are nogeya be'edis. Good. Now, you're telling me that if you're Negeya Be'edis, you have the capacity to remove yourself. Guys, in other words, we're taking the aside from the previous case, that a person who was a partner is able to remove himself from the partnership and testify. So why can't the people of the city do the same thing? The Isil, if it's true what you just said, that a person that's Negeya Be'edis has the capacity to go ahead and remove himself from the parsha, right? You're telling me that a person who's Negeya Be'edis has the capacity to go ahead and remove himself from the parsha, right? The salku beitrei minayu, let two of the dayonim go ahead and remove themselves, saying we have nothing to do with the Sefer Torah, we have nothing to do with the city, and judge the case. So, guys, we went through a hard Gemara. We're taking out from the hard Gemara in the three conditions. One of them is you could remove yourself from it and not be Negeya Be'edis. Taking that concept that you're Negeya Be'edis and you could remove yourself, in this case over here, with the Negeya Be'edis vis-a-vis the Sefer Torah, why can't they remove themselves? That's the question. Great question. And for the Gemara, shiny Sefer Torah, the Lishmiya Koi. What's the purpose of the Sefer Torah? To hear laning. You can't remove yourself from that. So you're all Negeya Be'edis. Buy a field, which is a monetary thing. You can remove yourself. I have nothing to do with the field. Can you say I have nothing to do with the Sefer Torah? Of course you can. Why? Because Yechayiv, right? Balkar would tell you Yechayiv in Shmias Kriyas HaTorah, and therefore you can't remove yourself. Therefore it's Geshmak. Good. Now, if you look at the Rashbam goes ahead and says something. V'hatanya. This is a very good introduction. V'hatanya. With the lines count up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, about 13, 14 lines from the bottom. Vatanya, the time of Mishum, the Ikal Lemema, Kanun Yehuda Ovid. They're making a Kanunya. They're making a Kanunya. They're making a Shmeidre. They're making a Shmeidre. They're making a wishy-washy type of thing. The Ovid Kidei, why they masalik themselves? Kidei Sheidu Aleha, that they go ahead and testify. The Amidenu Biyadai. And then they'll go ahead and put it in the hands. In other words, these people of the shtot, you know what they're going to do? They'll say we have nothing to do with the Sefer Torah. That they're making a ruse. The word is a ruse. They're making a ruse. And as soon as their testimony is accepted and they accept the ganif, then they'll go back and say, great, we're part of the town again. So too over here, by this case where the Shimon is misalik himself from the shutfis of Ruvain, why are we not concerned that he's to let him testify? Maybe, you know what they're doing? They're going through this ruse. He gives him the field, he makes the kinyan, says all these are Tanoim, and then as soon as the person leaves that's being married in the field, they go and reunite as a shutif. Why are we concerned about that? Right? So we asked him Sefer Torah, and we said Sefer Torah is different, right? Sefer Torah is because why? It's it's not possible not to be Nagea Be'edis. And therefore we're not worried about Kenunya. Says the Gemara Vaita, a similar case. Toshma, the Oimer Tenu Monol B'nei Iri. Guy makes a thing he makes a donation to the people of the city. He's giving 100 suits to the people of the city, and he consequently dies. Rabbeinu Gershom says he dies. So now, Ein Donin B'dayoni Oisei then Nagea Be'edis, they want the money. They may be in Raya Mianshe Oisei because they want the money. So right, so it's going to Amai. Why don't you do the same thing? L'salku beitrei nafshayu uldayone. Says no. The money wasn't given to the city. The money was given to purchase a Sefer Torah, and therefore the Yarshim was saying, the Yarshim are saying what they're making a complaint. They don't want to give the money. Right? No person from that city can go ahead and testify or judge because they want the money for the Sefer Torah. So it's not possible to avoid being Nagea Be'edis. Toshma. Now it's not a Sefer Torah. It's saying what? It's given to the Aniya Iri. Give the money to Tzedakah. Give the money to the Aniyim of the city. They can't judge it. And the people of the city can't be Edis. B'tizbra, Aniyim Shakle, Dayani Mifsli. What does it make sense? The money is given to the Aniyim. The Aniyim is getting the money. They're not getting anything. Where's the Nagea Be'edis over here, guys? Where's this Nagea Be'edis? He gave money to the Aniyim. So why can't they judge? Says the Lashon of the Gemara. Aniyim Shakle, the Aniyim take the money, and Dayani Mifsali, and the Dayanim Apostle. What's wrong? There's not Nagea Be'edis there. Elaima ain't donin b'dayone Aniye Oisei here. Oh, 1 second. These are not just regular Dayanim. These are regular Dayanim who are Aniyim. Now they're Aniyim, they have what? If there's any question about this money, Nagea Be'edis. Why? Because they have a piece of the action, right? They have a piece of the action. We're not speaking about a regular dayan. We're speaking about a dayan who would gain if the money is given. So if you have Yarshim who are questioning giving the money, these dayanim can't go ahead and adjudicate the case. Why? Because they have what to gain. They have what to gain. Says Gemara. So really, if it's regular dayanim or regular Joes who have a few bucks, then they could testify, but aniyim can't. No. Fred the Gemara v'amai l'stalku beitari nafshayu ul dayone. Go ahead, take away 2 dayanim who are not aniyim and let them judge. Says Gemara hachanami b'sefer Torah. And when he said the money over here giving to Aniyim, it's Sefer Torah. Question. They said he's giving the money to Aniyim. Why do you mean tell Sefer Torah? You said he's giving money to Aniyim. Listen to this this guy. Listen to this. Sefer Torah Aniyim heim. Why are we called Aniyim? They are called Eitzel Sefer Torah Aniyim heim. Everyone Eitzel Sefer Torah are called Aniyim. Let's see Rashbam here. About 6 lines up. They are called Eitzel Sefer Torah Aniyim heim. Shekulam tzrichim loy. Everyone needs the Torah. V'derech b'nei adam likrois b'nei iroi aniyim, and it's the way of a people to call members of the city aniyim, kishe'ein lehem sefer Torah. If there's no sefer Torah, you're an ani. The aniyas gadol who's there. This is tremendous aniyas if you don't have a sefer Torah. No, Musa Haskell, no? Musa Haskell. This is a good blog point. You don't have a sefer Torah. You're a nani. You can't lay in shul, you're a nani. Guys, how happy were we to get that Sefer Torah? We had the minyan. How we used to, Simchas Torah had a fight, this, that, had a Torah borrow. You talk to understand what it means to be a nani. When we finally, Baruch Hashem, we was able to get our own Sefer Torah, it was mamish a Simcha Gedayla. Right? We're not a niyam anymore. The Gemara, based upon the Rashbam, gives you an understanding of the happiness. It goes ahead and it alleviates something that you don't even realize. This is a pain, you don't have a Torah. It's more than a pain. You're a nani. You're a nani. Now you're a rich man. You have a Torah, guys. Now you're a rich man. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful there, right? Okay, and very, very geschmack. So right now we held serve. The reason why you couldn't really to be misalik in the case of the shutif, Ruvain, Shimon being misalik to Ruvain, does work. In all these cases, it doesn't work, is because in all these cases, even after the siluk, you'd still be what? Noigeya be'edis, because it's connected to a Torah. And you all that's what we're saying, and therefore you all aniyim. V'boy sema, la'olam kidiktani aniyim mamish. La'olam, we're speaking about. We're speaking about aniyim mamish. We're not speaking about a Sefer Torah. We're speaking about aniyim mamish. Now, why is everyone therefore Nageya be'edis? Even a dayan is Nageya be'edis? Why? He's not an ani, right? Uba aniye deramu alayu. And it's speaking about aniyim that is on the city to go ahead and support. So therefore, they're Nageya be'edis. This person left money for the aniyim. His yarshim are saying, no, if you don't get the money, you're going to have to come out of your own pocket, right? So you're Nageya be'edis to ensure the money by the dead man goes to the aniyim. You're Nageya be'edis. That's the kasha. I mean, that's the kasha. So what's the teretz? The teretz is vehechi dami ida kitzlahu. If you went ahead and there's a set amount, laisvi beit treminayu ma'ida kotzlu dayani. Let two people go ahead, pay off the amount, and then let them judge the case. So it must be hacha mayaskinan delay kitzlahu. It must be over here that there wasn't a set amount. So therefore, since it wasn't set amount, everyone's nageya be'edis. Why? Because it's not a set amount that people can make up. It's upon the whole city, this unset amount. Mele nageya be'edis, and therefore you didn't have the option of being masalik. It's because why? Because everyone in the city is mechuyev to go ahead and pay this daniyim. And therefore you're nageya be'edis because you want that money from the dead person to go ahead and alleviate that debt. There's a set amount. And it's good that you have an extra money to keep in the ravach. Let's say there's a set amount to the city. You have to raise $1,000, right? Good. This guy gave $100 already. He gave 100. You only have 900 to make up. So once you have our vacha over here, everyone's gaining because there's $100 less to make up. So memela you're nageya be'edis, and memela it's different than what the case of being masalik by what by the case of the mecher. Okay, let's go through the Gemara outside again. Just a quick review. Okay, it's very hot blot. So the Gemara said Shmuel, just by the way, was brought in Agav, is the major aggression, which seems to be the theme of Baba Basra, right? Major aggression. He said a shutuf can be testifying another shutuf that the field belongs to him. Fred the Gemara is nagei be'edis. How can he do that? Says the Gemara three things. One, he was Masalik. Two, he made a kinyan. Three, he's a Baal Chayv, and it's a personal Chayv. And four, not only was it a personal Chayv, he go ahead and guaranteed his other Shutif that if the field is taken away, he's going to make it up. Therefore, he's not Nagei Be'edis. Fred the Gemara, you see that what? So what do we see from here? A person could extricate himself from being part of the process and not being Nagei Be'edis. So we have this whole sugya of a Sefer Torah being stolen, or a person giving money for a Sefer Torah. In all these cases, why, if you can extricate yourself, be masalik, and go ahead and have people who can testify or judge, why in the world don't you do that? Says the Gemara, because vis-a-vis a Sefer Torah, guess what? Everyone's nageh be'edis. Sefer Torah, you have to hear. Sefer Torah, if you don't have, you're called an ani. You need a Sefer Torah, beautiful to hear. It's called an ani. On other teretz, why you don't have the option of being masalik? We're speaking about a Sefer Torah aniyim. We're speaking about extra money. And why are you nageh be'edis? Because since it's a set amount, let two people go ahead and if it's a set amount, let two people go ahead and pay that off. So he said it must be speaking what that it's not a set amount, or you could say it is a set amount. And even set amount, whatever is given if you're given by a person, is going to go ahead and subtract from the amount that's necessary. If it's $1,000 necessary, this person gave 100. It's $900, not 1,000. Therefore, you're all nageya be'edis. That's the sugya, the first sugya today. Next sugya. The Nasa, I just have to give a shout out to my son Simcha. We're learning Bechavusa. So my gut feeling is the share is a little better quality. At least I feel I know a little better, so I can give it over better. Actually, I don't, whatever. I feel a shout out to Simcha for learning together with me. It's very gishmak. She'll be zeichel to learn with your sons. It's a wonderful experience. Rather than chasing him, Simcha, Anyway. Okay, let's go back in time, fellas. Do you remember a special halacha of Bailav Imai that if you go ahead and somebody is in your employ, when you make a shomer, right? If he's then you're not chayev. It's said by Shoyal in Ein Bolav Imai, and we looked at Shomer Sacha Milafanov, and we looked at Shemachinam Milafanafanov. That's Pshia Bebailim, Geneva Bebailim, Shela Bebailim, you're off the hook. What's the case over here? Again, this is Shmuel's third memra, that Shutfin could be Shomer Sachrim on each other. And therefore, if it's stolen, they'd have to pay. The Havamina of the Gemara is, at Bivas Achas, you're watching mine, and I'm watching yours. 1 second. Isn't that Bebailim? Isn't that Bolav Imai? How could you say you're Chayev? L'chari, the Patur of Bolav Imai should apply to a Shutif. Fred the Gemara Kasha. V'nasa Shem Esacha Zel Zel Amid Beis. Amai Shmira Bebailim he. It's Shmira Bebailim, and we know we're Pata from that. So Rav Papa says, Rav Papa, the Amalei Shamali Hayoim, V'niesh Milcholamacha. You watch for me today, and I'll go ahead and watch for you tomorrow. You watch for me today, and I'll watch for you tomorrow. Okay, so therefore, since this day, when you're watching, I'm not with you, you're chayev. Tomorrow, you're not watching with me, you'll be chayev. Very good. Tan Rabbana. Machala bias, if a person sells a bias, a house, machala sadeh, or a person sells a field, ein meid lo alehem. He can't be made that what? That the field belongs to him, to this person. Mifnei shachri yusay alav. Machalei para, machalei talis. If he sells a para, sells a talis. Meid lo aleh, he could testify. Mifnei she'enachri yusay alav. Okay, let's go outside. I sell a field to Dov. Now, comes along an era on the field that's in Dov's possession. I can't testify that what the field was mine or whatever. Why? Because if the field is taken away from Dov, he's going to come back to me. I sold it b'achrayus. If I sold a para to Dov, if I sold a talus to Dov, then I could testify. Why? Because Dov is not going to come back to me if it's lost. It's not going to come back to me. There's no achrayus, right? There's no achrayus, so I have nothing. Now, l'chora, it should not depend upon the object, whether it's a field or it's metaltalin. It should only depend upon what? Whether you accepted or achrayus or not. If I accepted achrayus, I can't testify. If I didn't accept achrayus, then I could testify. Dov can't come back to me. It's getting the shon. It doesn't make a difference, right? So the Gemara is going to ask right away. You gave me two cases. You gave me a case of karka and a case of metaltalin. And in our minds, without thinking, we learned achrayus as the classic achrayus is, guess what? You have to make it up if it's out. Usually, sadeh is achrayus in the star, and metaltalin is usually not. There's edis. What happens if you did take achrayus from metaltalin? Let's say, Dov, this para or this talus that I'm selling to you, if they're taken away, I'm going to make it up. Could I testify? No. So Fred the Gemara, what's the distinction? What are you making? It doesn't make any sense. Says the Gemara, Maishna Reisha Umaishna Seifa. Right? It should not make a difference between the Reisha and the Seifa. In both cases, if you look at Rashbam, guys, the one that's called where it gets wide, about semi-wide, about 8 lines down, it says Shein Achrayas. There's no Achrayas for me to Dov. Allah, Dov has no Achrayas to me. Im Yitluhu Menu, if it's taken from Dov, Machmas HaMoicha, Shegozla. Turns out I was Goslin. V'hainu de Kaparach, the Gemara asks, Maishna Reisha u'Maishna Seifa. What's the difference by Soda and house? What's the difference by Talus and Para? Maishna Metaltli, the Loyha Be'achrayas Olav, Mimekarki, Im Shtei Mechiras Halala Be'achrayas, if both of the sales were Achrayas, Havich Achrayas Achrusay Olav. Vishloi Be'achrayas, Hachavayu En Achrusay Olav. In other words, it has nothing to do with the fact it's a Soda or a Talus. It has to do whether there was a Kabbalah of Achrayas or not. So, just like in the Seifa, you could be made because there was no Achrayas. In the Reisha also, if I sold a house and I sold a field to Dov, and there was no Achrayas upon me, comes along a person, takes it back from Dov and says that Stern's a Goslin, and I don't have to make it up. So I could testify. I'm not gaining anything, right? So that's the Gemara's kasha. It's a very strong kasha. Guys, the Gemara is going to go ahead and do something that it does, but seldom does it do it so quietly. We're going to change the word of achrayas. The word achrayas is not going to be responsible. The word achrayas means in the end. The word achrayas means in the end. We're going to see a new Gemara. So again, we have a powerful question, right? We have a powerful question. What does it mean that what? By Soda, there's achrayas. By this is not achrayas. Either way, if there's achrayas, I can't testify. If there's no achrayas, I could testify. It has nothing to do with a field, nothing to do with a talis, nothing to do with karka, nothing to do with metalzman. Fred Gemara, Ma'asher Reisha, Ma'asher Seifa, Amrav Sheshes, Halt Cup. Reisha, Beruvein Shegazel Soda Mishimin. Shimon has a field. Ruvain steals the field from Shimon. Umachra Levi. And now Ruvain, the Gazlan, stole Shimon's field, sells it to Levi. V'yasa Yehuda. So now, right now until this point in time, Shimon was the owner of the field. Shimon was the owner of the field. Ruvain stole it from him, sold it to Levi. Good. V'yasa Yehuda, out of left field, comes another guy, become an Ara, and he says that the field never belonged to Shimon. Ruvain steals the field from Shimon. He sells it to Levi. Good. Comes along Yehuda and says, guess what? Ruvain, you didn't steal Shimon's field. You stole my field. Now, what can Shimon do? Become Arer, the Kasa Yehuda become Arer. Shimon cannot go. La Asid Le Levi. Shimon cannot go and testify that the field belongs to Levi. The Nichale, the Hodra, right? Because why? Because he's very happy. Shimon is very happy that the field stays by Levi. And he's very happy that field stays by Levi, right? Because he doesn't want the field to go out to Ruvain. He doesn't want the field to go, excuse me, he doesn't want the field to go to Yehuda. So since Shimon is Nageya Be'edis, to keep the field what by Levi, he's not believed to go ahead and testify. And that's what it means. Okay, we'll see in a second at the end what that means. Good. So right now, let's go through it. Reuven steals a field from Shimon, sells it to Levi. Yehuda comes along and says the field belongs to him and it belongs to Shimon. Shimon can't testify in behalf that the field belongs to Levi. He can't testify that the field belongs to what? To Levi. Because at the end, he's easier to get the field back from Levi by proving that Reuven's a Gazlan. Says the Gemara, even the Asid Levi, who Heitzi Matzik Mafechle Mine. Since, guys, he's able to go ahead and testify for Levi that it belongs to Levi, how could he take it away from Levi? Guys, outside. Shimon's, that Reuven stole it from Shimon. Shimon now gave it to Levi. Good. Shimon is not permitted to testify that the field belonged to Levi. Shimon is not permitted to testify that the field belonged to Levi. Why? Because in the end, it's going to be easier for him to get the field back from Reuven, who stole it. Good. Fred the Gemara. If Shimon is saying the field belonged to Levi, how in the heck in the world is going to get it back in the first place? In the end, Shimon's going to want the field back. Guys, Reuven stole the field from Shimon. So what are you telling me? Shimon is not allowed to testify on Levi to keep it away from Yehuda. If Shimon knows testifying that it belongs to Levi, isn't he being moided that it doesn't belong to him? Isn't he being moided that it doesn't belong to him? So how could he testify? You're telling me he's not able to testify. Forget about him not able to testify. What good would his testimony help? He wants to testify that it's by Levi in the end to go ahead and get it back from Ruvain. But if he's saying that what it belongs to Levi, he has no pislein peh anymore. He can't open his mouth anymore. His own mouth said it belongs to Levi. So what does he gain? As I read the Gemara.
Yeah, better Yehuda, better Levi than Yehuda, though.
Okay, so good. Better Levi than Yehuda. So now, what is he going to say right now? Hesh, continue. Finish the thought. What's he going to say?
He'll say, it doesn't belong. What's he going to say? It belongs to Levi. That's what he would say.
So now, if he belongs to Levi, so what? Shimon is happy now? He lives heavily happy after? What does Shimon want to do? In the end,
He doesn't want Yehuda to have it because then
no,
it has an effect.
No. He wants to get it back from Ruvain.
Yeah.
He wants to prove Ruvain stole it. So if he's moida belongs to Levi, Haidas Baldin Kmei Edim Dummy. He's stuck. He's stuck. It's Geschmack and Gemara, guys. It's as far as Geschmack, and it's not easy, but it's Geschmack. Fred Gemara. The kivin that Asad laid the Levi, who, since he's testifying it's Levi's, since he's testifying it belongs to Levi, right? Right? How's he possible to go ahead and testify for him? Let's see Rashbam, guys. When it gets wide, 4 lines down. When it gets wide, 4 lines down. Right? I don't think we get to this Gemara yet. The kivin the Asalei the Levi who hechi matzi mafik lemine. Okay, we did this. How could he get it back from Levi? The kasalka daitach hashta hachi. The mafkin lemi Yehuda. We take it away from Yehuda. Umukim lo biad Levi. Why? The komisayid who bestay Levi who v'lav the Yehuda. In other words, Shimon has testimony that the field belonged to Levi and not to Yehuda. Guys, there's 2 ways to get away from Yehuda. Saying it's Levi's or saying it's not Yehuda's. Guys, listen. There's 2 ways to go ahead and get it away. Saying it's Levi's or it's not Yehuda. The Gemara's Havamina now, we said he's saying it's Levi. So Fred the Gemara, if you're saying it's Levi, continues Rashbam. The kivin the hoide b'fnei bezdin, the shel Levi, who, since he's being moiden for the bezdin, it belongs to Levi. Heichi matzav mafik mi Levi achrei kain. How is he able to get it back from Levi afterwards? The Oidos Baldim is like 100 Edim. He didn't gain anything. Guys, outside. Outside. A person who sells a field to somebody else is not able to testify. Why? He's not able to testify. Mifnei shechrayis alav. Achrayis is upon him. That's what it says there. The achrayis is upon him. Good. Now, Ruvain stole the field from Shimon. For all intents and purposes, the field belongs to Shimon. Ruvain sells the field to Levi. Comes now a question on Shimon's ownership in the first place. Good. Shimon is unable to go ahead and testify that the field belongs to Levi because he's Nagei Be'edis. That's what the Gemara is saying. He's Nagei Be'edis. Why is he Nagei Be'edis? Because he wants it by Levi to get it back from Levi. That's Nagei Be'edis. He wants it by Levi to get it back from Levi. Fred the Gemara Kasha, if his Edis is that the field belongs to Levi, how in the world is he going to get it back from Levi? He was Moida that what it belongs to Levi. So next step. So therefore, why is he unable to testify that the field belongs to Levi? There's no Negei Be'edis. Once he testifies the field belongs to Levi, that's it. It belongs to Levi. It has nothing to do with him. So he's not Negei Be'edis. So why do you say he can't testify? As I read the Gemara. Says it inside. Let's go. Says the Gemara. He wants it to go back to Levi. The kivin the aspect the Gemara, the kivin the asalei the Levi who, since he's going ahead saying that the field belongs to Levi, how in the world could he take it back from Levi? So therefore, it's not nagei be'edis, and therefore he should be testify. So you know what the answer is, fellas? He wasn't testifying the field doesn't belong to Levi. He was testifying it doesn't belong to Yehuda. He wasn't testifying the field doesn't belong to Levi. He was testifying the field doesn't belong to Yehuda. Now you know what? You gained a lot. And the Mela, I was never moidetz Levi's field, right? I'm testifying that Yehuda is a Goslin and everything. That testimony we won't allow because in the end it's going to come back to him, and that's So says the Gemara, he says that this ara, this land is not Yehuda's land. Okay, this land is not Yehuda's land. This land is not Yehuda's land. Good, that's what he's saying. This land is not Yehuda's land. Okay. Okay. Now, if it's not Yehuda's land, then it must be Levi's land. Now, 1 second. Reuven sold it to Levi. Reuven stole it from me. I'm going to get it back now, right? So therefore, in the end, it's Nageya Be'edis. Good? That's Nageya. So now, take a look back, guys. This is the Pshat. Go back to the Memra, 3 lines from the top. Tana Rabbanan. The Rabbanan learn. Tana Rabbanan. Machal Abayis, Machal Sadeh, Ein Meid Layalav. This is so cryptic. If a person stole somebody's field and sold it to somebody else, then the person who was stolen from cannot testify on it, because in the end he wants it to come back to him. Achrayus here doesn't mean responsibility. It means end. In the end, it's going to come back to him. You need to be an Amoira or a Tana to go ahead and explain this Gemara. It's so cryptic and so lost, it's unbelievable. Guys, this is the final pshat. Guys, this is the final pshat. One more time. You hear this? Listen to this pshat. If a person steals a field, Reuven steals the field from Shimon, and then sells it to Levi, and right, Ein Meid Le'alecha. The Nigzal, Shimon, cannot testify on behalf of Levi, if Neshachri love, because in the end, he wants it to come back to himself. And therefore it's not gay babies. Easy, right? It's self-explanatory, very easy, very easy. Okay, back in the Gemara. Let's finish up. Says the Gemara, Ubahu schusid the kamafik mi Levi, leifik mi Yehuda. Right? Why do you have to take the scenic route, guys? You're going a room in a room. Obviously, he knows to go. In other words, just go ahead. Forget about Levi. Go said, oh, you have Edis on Yehuda, is a Goslin, shine. Why do you want to get it back to Levi? Just get it away from Yehuda, right? Just get it back to Yehuda. Why do you have to get it to Levi? Says Gemara, it's much easier to deal with Levi. This is what Heshi was saying. It's much easier to deal with Heshi. Much easier to deal with Levi than Yehuda. Yehuda is a tough guy. You don't want to take him to Bezdin. He's a really, really tough guy. You don't want anything to do with him. So just make sure Levi gets it, and then you don't have anything to do with him. By saying going to Islay Sadeh Lamar, Islay Sadeh Lamar. There's testimony for Shimon, that is his field. There's testimony for Yehuda. So he wants the field by Levi, because if we don't have the field by Levi, then Yehuda is the muhsik. If Yehuda is the muhsik, why do we say Trey versus Trey? We're going to go ahead and keep the land by Yehuda. So therefore, it's a much lumdish way to go ahead, make sure it gets to Levi, that your two witnesses, if they cancel this other out, it won't be in Yehuda's rishus for him to keep it.